get started with using the RIF platform for doing some spatial testing and development, navigate to the website. The website comes in a couple of different languages, so select the language that you're interested in. It's two parts, one for educators and one for students, and these are highlighted in different colors. So green for educators, orange for students. So working within the educators section, the first step is to create a class. So click here, bring you to this window. And what you need to do is provide your name and email address and some details about your school. So put your name in, your country, the school you're in, the class name you have, that can be anything you want, and the number of students in your class. I'm just going to leave it at 5 for the moment. So next. So this gives you a number of bits of information, what you've entered, but importantly, it gives you your class code. This information is also emailed to you. So you can refer to that email if you don't note your class code and so on. So class code is what you will need as the educator. So remember that. And then access codes for the students is what your students will need, which you will need to give to them. So think of a class list, and each student has a unique code for this platform. So under your column for students' names, you'll have a column beside that with each of these numbers. So each student gets a unique number. I entered 5 here, so I go from 77634 up to 77638. That's 5 codes. If you had 30, you'll have 30 of these codes, and you assign those to the students. So the next thing you do is you bring back to the platform here. So you've got that set up. You've created a class. Now you can activate a task group. So to do that, you will need to go back and retrieve your class code and enter it here. So this is the class code we got. And I hit next. And this will bring me to the task groups that are available. So up at the top here, we have some recommended from 7 years and some for students from 12 years. And each of these types corresponds to a type of spatial thinking. So there's visualization, form constancy, position in space, transformation in space, object combination. And then for the older students, spatial visualization, spatial relations, mental rotation, and spatial orientation. So these are all sort of different types of spatial thinking. And what research has shown is that we can be kind of strong in one and not so strong in another. In other words, your ability can vary between these different types of spatial ability. So you select one of these, and you select one at a time. So for example, if you have SV1 selected, you can't also select another one. So we select one of them, and you determine how long it's going to be available for in hours. That's to suit your needs. And now that task group is activated for your class. So that's ready to go. So you now let your students know that they can go and take that task group or that task activity. So orange for students, they can go now and start that task group. So one of the numbers there was 77638. So we hit next. Now the student has to provide some anonymous data. Gender, the year they were born, the month they were born, left-handed, number of brothers and sisters, and that's it. And these data are anonymous. They cannot be traced back to the individual. So that will bring them to the task that you set up for them. And they have some instructions here. Here's 30 tasks. You have 15 minutes, and off they go. So they hit start, and each of these questions has some instructions, and they have to think about it and submit the answer. And there's 30 of these, and it's the same format for each. They can skip, but they can't complete or finish the test until they've answered each one. So you must kind of interact with each one of these. So in this case here, you have a pattern, you have a section that's colored. Which side needs to be colored purple after folding? So we have to click on which part of this has to be colored purple after it has been folded up. So they have to imagine this being folded up, and then they have to click on the part that would become purple. So let's just click here. So by clicking on a part, they have an answer, and then they submit that, and it brings them to the next task. They must submit something for every one of these questions. Once all your students have completed and submitted all their answers, you can go back to the RIF page and you can get class data. So you click in here and you can get class results. And you enter your class code. And this will give you some information about the student codes, number of task groups they have, the correct solutions, and so on. And from that, you can see what scores they are getting and how they are performing in the different task groups. So it's up to you how you set up the task groups. You can pick them in any order you see. You have control over that. And then you assign those to your students, they complete them, and when they're complete, you come back and collect the data.